Hey, welcome to a live lesson on the BBR Productions YouTube channel, Twitch, and the Facebook group. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between recouping income versus the wealth growth aspect. As always, please like, comment, and share this video along with subscribing for future content on how to be successful within your field of interest, which just so happens to be entertainment, not sound engineering. All right, but let's get to it. First, let's define recouping. Recouping is the amount of time you can go that you have to trade your time. Recouping is trading your time for money. Wealth is the amount of time you can go without having to recoup your income. Okay. Now, the mentality is what we're always trying to change on this channel, right? We're trying to change the brain to think differently. And when you recoup income, you are literally trading your time, which is limited, for money, which the money you make at a job is also limited because you can only make as much as the job's willing to give you financially, cash wise, and or time. If they don't have more than 40 hours to give you and they're only paying you $10 to $15 an hour, that's all you're getting for that week. Wealth has an unlimited roof depending on how you invest. The big thing though is, how do I invest and how do I develop wealth if I don't have the money? So can't lie, I did spend 300 in a minute. See, money gets spent. It just vanishes, right? But that is the thing about recouping, though. With that thought, when you work a job, you're not just making money from that job. You're paying for transportation, you're paying for food, you're paying for the clothes you have to wear. But then you come home and you say to yourself, well, I worked really hard, so now I want to repay myself. I want to reward myself. And you reward yourself with a new phone, the Xbox, maybe the PlayStation, whatever the case may be. And you're just working to pay your bills with recouping income. Wealth generates or rewards you for what it is you want to do in life. It helps afford your life. So, how do we generate wealth? Well, the first thing you have to think of is work a job. When you work in your job in the beginning, you want to work 1, 2, maybe 3 jobs, whatever the case is, because your purpose is to create an 18-month foundation. This 18-month foundation becomes your wealth. 18 months is a year and a half. All right. A foundation is overhead. So basically, you figure out what your monthly average overhead is, you times it times 18, and that's what your answer is. Here we said that our average monthly overhead is $2,000. I see we have some pounds on there. I don't know what the equivalent of 2,000 would be for pounds, since we have someone from Twitch. Look at this, boom, see, boom, boom, right? Okay. But the point is, this would be $36,000. Now, once you have $36,000 and $1,000 to $2,000 in emergency, you can start utilizing the safety net value. Okay. And the safety net is equivalent to 3 months of your foundation. So in this situation, it says 6K. So as long in this model, if you have $6,000 in your foundation, you activate the 60-40 split. The 60-40 split is this. Every dollar you earn over that $6,000, you can divide by 60 and 40. Okay? Which means, or 60%, 40%. If you make $100, $60 goes to the left, $40 goes to the right. And what do we do with that money? Well, the 40% we always put back into the foundation because we want to always be fueling our foundation. As far as the 60 go, we divide it evenly into our 3 needs of purpose. Our 3 needs of purpose are security, growth, and dream. So what's the big deal with these? Security is money you never touch. This is the money that when and if you ever go broke, this money is going to be there to help you as a foundation to start over, because we have to be able to restart. Okay. The other thing is, that's what wealthy people do. They go, just in case this goes under, I have a little bit of safety money in the background. The growth is the investment money that you have allocated, and we're going to go over that in a second. And the dream is the reward. Okay. So as you start developing money within these accounts, you start earning the right to do things. And this is how we organize money properly. In this situation, the security is there so you can take calculated risks, because not only do you have your foundation and you're continuing to fuel your foundation, but you have money that's there just in case the most insane thing happens. But you also have emergency money that, like, if your car breaks down or something like that. Okay. Now, some people will take this 60 and they'll divide it into 4 categories. And the 4th one is they'll continue to fuel their emergency fund. So it's, constantly grows. That's what I do. I continuously fuel that. Okay. The growth is your investment allocation. right? And you only need $50 to $100 to start investing in stocks and start doing swing trading, right? And swing trading's not easy, but it does have a huge return on its investment, especially in the beginning. So when people say they don't have money, the thing that you should be thinking about is changing your brain and going, all right, what can I cut from my life to live on the smallest amount of possible money I could possibly in my entire existence live on? Work one, two, or three jobs. To give you an example, when I was first starting out in my life, I was like, I want to be a musician. And I couldn't be a musician and have a job. The job took up too much time because I was working 20 to 40 hours a week, depending on the week. And so, how can I create a career? How can I have a career? I can't just wait. I can't just wait until my career. Oh, the song kicks off. You can't do that because you have to be in the studio. You got to be writing. You got to be, you got to write 100 songs just to get one great song, right? That's really the position that you're in. So what I had been told to by my mentors is like, well, you should be working your career. And I was like, well, how do I do that? I got no money. And it's like, well, you should be not focused on your career right now. You should be focused on your startup capital. That's the thing. Like, we don't think of that as artists. We think, oh, I'll try acting until something happens, and then acting will pay for my life. But there are actors that'll get a huge job doing a pilot, which, if the union rates are still the same as they have always been, you get like $50,000 for that pilot because they have to put you on hold for 3 to 6 months because if it gets picked up, they need you to be ready. You can't be working on other things, right? The problem is you're not working for 3 to 6 months. Yeah, you got that 50K, right? But then what happens? The pilot doesn't get picked up, and now you get that 50K. But what are you going to do? Live on that forever? No, because you're going to spend money. You're going to continue to spend money, and if you don't have money coming in and you're not reinvesting that 50K, right? Because in this situation, you'd be able to do that, right? You'd be like, oh, I got 50K, my system is in play. But that doesn't always. The chances of getting a pilot is like 1,000,000 to 1. So my mentor was like, you got to save up the money. So I literally stopped focusing on music and I worked 3 jobs. I had a day job, I had like a night job, and then I had an overnight job. I would shower and sleep at my friend's house that were close to the jobs. I'd run my breaks, I would sleep. I did it for a year. That's it. I did it for 1 year and I was just done. I was physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. But at the end of that year, I had more than enough money saved because I didn't go out. I couldn't. I didn't spend it on frivolous things. I just simply saved every cent I possibly could. I even said to myself, let me, instead of worrying about like car stuff, like if the car breaks down, I'll just start asking friends. But it turned out my car didn't break down. I lucked out. But the idea was I had to sacrifice because I had a dream. And once that happened, what did I do? I was able to focus on my music career. And by focusing on my music career, I started getting involved. And I learned that it wasn't necessarily about me getting a song on the radio. It was about me getting in the industry. So I started working with record labels, volunteering my time. I started working at recording studios. I started helping promoters. I started whatever I could do, right? And then I wasn't hanging out with like local bands. I was hanging out with national acts because I was friends with the clubs. So whenever there was bands, I'd be like, let me come and help. So I would help out. But I had this foundation affording my overhead so I can take that calculated chance. And any money I did earn, I started organizing it. I started having the money protect me and I started investing. I had money to invest. I invested in stocks, bonds, mutual funds. My intellectual properties were being, because basically if I get paid for my music, I get intellectual properties. And then anytime I didn't want to reward myself, I looked at my dream account. And if my money was there, it said to me, oh, look, I've earned the right for a vacation. Something that I do often is whenever I have enough money to afford what my week would be, I'll take a week off because I have the money. And then I just take that money and I put it into my foundation. That's how I pay for I just shut off my brain and everything. All right. This is how you start developing wealth, though. First, you have to take back control of your money. You have to organize your money. Most people, they don't understand that you have to get your stuff in order before you can just start investing. You can't just invest. Like if you had $1,000 extra dollars, you don't really have $1,000 extra dollars unless you have 18 months secured, you have your emergency fund, and that extra $1,000 is in your growth account. And if you could start thinking differently, start thinking like a business, and you go, all right, let me start organizing my money. Let me start allocating my money and start getting that. Now, there's a couple other things that you should be doing with this that could go on for like literally hours. And it was some of the stuff I said half hour ago. But these accounts should also be other things like your growth account. That should be a business account. I noticed as somebody that's using pounds, so I'm not really sure how Europe works with this. This is all the states. This is all United States. Um, it's based on that. So you would incorporate so you create like an LLC or an S corp, and you allow your money to be placed into that business. So I have a production company that I own. I got an investing company. I have a like a Team Rise Together company, which is like really it's a not-for-profit slash company that helps people learn the industry, and it gives them a chance to work on sets and stuff. They just get to work on it. They don't have to pay any money. It's just hey, and then we have people that help them learn. Oh, you want to be a camera person? Well, work along this professional camera person. They'll teach you how to shoot the scene, whatever. But anyway, so this is basically what I do, and this is what you should be doing. This is literally what you should be doing. You should be trying to find a way to get that foundation, because once you have the foundation and emergency fund, you've earned the right. You've earned the right to start organizing your money, and these accounts need to be that S corp or LLC, right? The security you could start putting into. I apologize for anyone who's not from the U.S., but for the security, you want to put that into like bonds or CDs, long-term CDs, because you don't want to touch that money. So the longer the better. And CDs, you can continue to put money into a CD without penalty. And so the longer the better, right? But you could also put these in long-form investments, like obviously an Amazon stock would be a great thing. But in the beginning, start with CDs and stuff like that. But you could do IRAs, things that really, or life insurance, you could put it into that and it generates, and because you're not touching that money. The growth starts small. In the beginning, the assets you can have, really, okay, the first assets are going to be your stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and intellectual properties. All right, that's the first. Okay, and the second one is going to be businesses, and I'll explain it. Real estate, IOUs, which is I owe unto, and then commodity. Okay. All right. So real quick. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That's the stock market. That's very straightforward. You could do options. You could do swing trading. You could do long form investing. You could do whatever. Especially if the market is bullish. Mutual funds is really just like a bunch of stocks or a bunch of bonds put together, and they just kind of like react off each other. But it's a little bit more complicated. Normally, you need some money. You need like $5,000 to $10,000 just to really do anything good with that. But these IPs, people say to me, "But I don't have any IPs." And the thing is, you do have IPs. Everybody has IPs. You have ideas. So anytime you have an idea, you should write it down, and you should try to copyright the information for that idea. You should try to patent it if it's an interesting mechanic of an idea. And there's trademarks, patents, and copyrights, right? That's what an IP is. When I was younger, I came up with an idea. My uncle was hammering the deck, and he's going. I'm like, man, if only there was like a machine that could just be like auto. And he was like, that's a stupid idea. And then literally like 10 years later, I'm in the cabinet because he's a carpenter. We're in the cabinet shop, and he has like a compressor nail gun. And I'm like, oh, remember when I was like, that'd be a great idea. He's like, oh yeah, you should have wrote it down. And I was like, And from that point on, I was maybe like 16 or 17 at the time. I was like, yeah. So what was crazy is when I met my mentors, they go, write every idea down. There's no stupid ideas. You write ideas down, and you go back to them, and you kind of flush them out when and where you can. You allocate time, and you just work on them. So the more ideas, the better. If you're creating a story, jot down the bait. This is the thing, like in the film industry, when I pitch projects and stuff, they're not looking for full scripts right away, especially if you're doing a television show. What they want is like treatments and like 5 different show ideas, 3 minimum. And they want you to have at least a 5-season arc for each of those shows. I deal with clients that are writing shows, and they'll sit there and they'll write out seasons worth of scripts, but they don't understand that when the show gets picked up, they make you hire a staff of writers and you rework the show. They don't use the scripts you wrote. They might take the pilot and go, all right, let's work on this, and then they clean it up. They hire new writers, and it's the same thing with film. If with film though, they rather you film it and bring it to them because then they handle distribution. But to give you a quick idea, the movie Pretty Woman, which was originally called $3,000, and that's why there's that line like, "Oh, will you stay for the week?" And she goes, "It'll be good, $3,000." And he goes, "All right, $3,000." That's why it was originally called 3,000. The guy who wrote that, the writer, the script writer, he wrote that. Every studio wanted it because they were like, "This is the best story ever." And if you ever read the original script, you'd be like, it's about a prostitute and drug addiction and rape, and like it's not the movie you ended up seeing. What's insane is Disney, through a different company they use, ended up buying the rights to the script. The first thing they did was fire the writer, hire new writers to rewrite the script. Every studio loved this script. Even with every studio loving the script, when they got the rights to the script, they still hired a writer to rewrite it because your first draft is always just the first draft, even if you think it's a final draft. Um, so IPs are as powerful as just ideas. So if you have stories like books, movies, film, all you got to do is jot down like who are the characters, what is the arc, what do you think should happen through the acts. You don't have to write out a script or a full book. You could literally map out treatments, and you could copyright those treatments. The same thing with like ideas to better elevate our society, or like a new tool or a new uh, concept that you might not be able to create physically right now, but the idea you can write down. There are ideas that people write down that other people go, "Oh, I have something similar," and then there's like a war, and they go, "Well, I see that you have an idea, and you know, maybe we could work together, or we'll buy your idea." Right? So always be utilizing your brain to create IPs. You don't have to have a physical thing to get anything out of an IP. Okay. As far as businesses, and by the way, that's the way you start first with your growth investments. Once you start getting a little bit more money, business, real estate, IOUs, and commodities. Businesses, there are threefold. A, you could buy a business, you could buy a business and liquidate it, and you could own a business and eventually not work there. Once you're not working at the business, it's officially an asset. But if you have to work there, it's a liability because you're paying to be there, right? Um, I have several businesses, and by having those businesses, some of them are their own thing. Some of them I work at, like BBR. Like I make a living by writing. Like people hire me to write scripts. I script doctor. I can consult on scripts. Like that's what I do. Right? Plus, I consult people on how to be successful in the entertainment. But businesses basically are creating businesses. And if you want to do something, you should create a business like LLC or S corp. Even if it's like you're making shirts, like say you're designing shirts and putting on Redbubble or something like that. Literally, go get incorporated. Businesses are powerful tools. All right. Yeah, real estate is buying and selling property, or locations. It's renting property, um, literally land, right? That's why it's a little bit later, like once you can start doing it. But something really good about real estate is you get like a multifamily, okay, and you have 3 to 4, apartments in there, okay, and you could find really great locations that all you need is 10 to 20%, which is anywhere from $10 to $30,000. And you think, Thomas, I don't have that. But again, this is later on, not tomorrow. Once your growth has allowed you to start investing into these 4 things, you should start as long as you could afford your overhead and you have the safety net of 3 months. Well, every dollar over that you make on your investments should go into your system, right? And you eventually allocate yourself to have more money. This IOU is I owe unto. Now, being in the film industry, I owe unto is basically like if I lend somebody money to make a film or a short or whatever, I get paid that money plus 10 to 20%, right? And then I own a portion of that. So as the project or the product makes money, I make money on it, right? So IOUs, you could literally, like, if you have $1,000 in here, and somebody's doing a short, and a point costs, say, $500, you could be like, oh, let me buy 2 points. Now you have 2 points on that project. So not only do they owe you the $500, but they owe you the 2 points on the back end. And then commodity is traditionally like coffee, gold, rice, things like that, corn. Um, However, you are a commodity. So, like, when I get hired to speak, I'm getting paid because of my commodity, my knowledge. I have a knowledge, I have a value set within the specific area, right? If you're a musician and someone pay, like, they go, hey, I want you on this album because I like your playing style. I don't want you to write anything, but I'm going to show you music and I want you to learn it. And I want it, you're going to play it in your style. Everyone has a style of voice, and that is your commodity. When, like, Brad Pitt is in a movie, his commodity is not his IP. His IP is his what he looks like, right? So his name is an IP, but his commodity, his value set is that he draws. He has a huge brand value, and his commodity is he acts a very certain way where directors go, I want that person in this project. The same thing with writers, like, like a Stephen King, his commodity is not just that he writes, but he has a style of writing, and that's a commodity. That's why people buy his stuff, because it's a very specific commodity that people seek out. All right. That's it, really. So like, comment, and share this video along with subscribing for future content on how to be successful in the entertainment industry. I know you're on Twitch. I believe everybody's on Twitch right now. But please, if you want, go to the YouTube channel and follow that. There's a new video Monday through Friday at 4:30. We try to do 20 minutes today because of the audio issue. I did a little longer, but every day is a different lesson. Wednesdays are usually craft lessons, so we'll work on writing stuff or music stuff or anything that has to pertain to craft. But Monday through Friday, we do a different video for everything from networking, how to network and build and cultivate relationships, how to market yourself, designing a brand, how to think outside the box, and how to manage your money, your time, and the people around you in your life. I really appreciate everybody letting me know that the sound was and sticking around and being interactive. I appreciate that always. As we say, help elevate those around you, because you want to work, grow, and rise together. Peace and harmony. Be good. Thank you. I'll see you next time. All right. Bye, everyone.